What's up, Cups? My name is Pisces, aka Coach, and welcome to the first ever Fundamentals of DBD video. This series is meant to explain to you step by step from the very most fundamental important things of DBD and just how to improve on them, understand them, recognize them, and bring them to your next match. I've been coaching this game for 2 years now on Fiverr with almost 100 5-star reviews, and that all my reviews are 5 stars up to this point as well. And so I've learned a whole lot of things about this game, and I love teaching them to people. And so that's what this series is about. And this episode specifically is going to be based on camera positioning, because I believe if you do not have proper camera positioning, there's a whole lot of fundamentals of this game that you cannot understand and cannot properly utilize and use to the best of their ability. So that's what we're going to do here. And the way we're going to do it is I'm going to show you some tips about when you run around the map, how to look around line of sight to get maximum information. I'll also teach you how to use your camera, when to use your camera to look forward and to look backwards. And at the end of the video, if you're one of those people who are maybe really new to DBD or not really comfortable with controlling your character, whether it's keyboard or mouse, you'll be able to look back, and I'll teach you some drills that I'll show some of my clients in order to properly control their camera. And trust me, it works. I'll watch them adapt very quickly. And yeah, enjoy. An important strategic tip for using your camera and positioning it in the right place is just simply while you're idly running around the match. As you run around the match, you should look down line of sight. The map is made up of tiles or squares, so each tile is lined up in straight lines. You can see here in open lines of sight where you can literally see across the map both ways and get plenty of information. This is good for a ton of reasons. You can see other teammates, you can see gens, you can see the killer, you can see totems, chests, you can see traps if it's a trap killer, and windows and pallets if you need to learn and memorize where these are so you can help yourself in future loops. So even if you're not able to cross the whole map and know where everything is exactly, when you start off the match, you run and look for a couple gens, find one that's dangerous, start working on it. You'll also know where all your windows and pallets are, where your teammates might be because they should spawn near you, and where the general direction the killer would come from, and things like that. Another little tip you can do is if you watch this crow over the box in the middle fly up, you'll notice that always happens when a survivor or killer passes by, and you can use that maybe when playing against a stealth killer or any killer in general to kind of identify their location. So now I know where the ghost face came from early because I had my camera in the right place. Alright, so maybe you're one of those people who are really bad at controlling your camera in general. So the information I told you earlier is nice, you understand it, but you're not sure how to implement it. Well, actually, you can take yourself a tutorial and do a few of these drills. So in my coaching, I'll actually show people these drills. We'll run through it and we'll kind of take props on the map and use them like cones. So imagine these bushes are cones. Right now, I'm just kind of running around. I'm holding the same keys on my keyboard. I'm not changing any movement keys, so I'm not holding W, I'm using W and D. And I'm using my mouse to turn my camera and letting my camera be the movement of curvature to get around these objects. So you notice here, now I'm holding just the D key to head right. And the only reason I'm turning my character to move in a different direction from where I'm going to the right is with my mouse. And I'm just kind of using these bushes as like cones, essentially. But here, I'm showing you exactly what I would do naturally. I'll look forward to path properly, and I look back like this for a moment to get information and turn around the prop. I usually never change my camera or my keys to turn around objects, especially because I'm on mouse and keyboard. Now for your controller players, it's pretty simple. Like instead of holding keys down, imagine you're just keeping your left analog in one position. So like if you want to go, diagonal to the right, you'll kind of just angle your analog that way, your left analog. And then your right analog, you'll just use that exclusively to turn. So you will not move your thumb on your left analog stick. And you'll simply run around these props and use your right analog to turn your camera to run around. And for the sake of drilling, definitely do it that way. Try to just place your thumb in a certain way and just get comfortable with all sorts of directions. You can take any different directions and run around and just try your best to get used to each direction, because if you can get really comfortable with all directions of movement, you'll be able to improvise when you want to turn your camera back to get the information we talked about before. Now that we've learned proper camera positioning when running throughout the match so that we have optimal information during the match, let's go over when to use your camera and where to place it in chase. Since survivors are in third person, they can often peek around corners. So here you notice is right here, since I turn my camera straight backwards, I can see through the window, right? You notice how I don't get vision until basically when I'm looking straight back. And that kind of allows me to get vision through this window where the killer might be during our chase. So let's see if in this chase up here, you can notice a few things I do with my camera. So right now, I run him forward, and since I expect him to come from behind me, I looked back. I see his red stain still there, so I looked back to continue to see that. I thought he might cut in, so I turned my camera to look inside first. Now that I vault the window, come back, do the same mind game again. I expected him to cut me off, but he didn't. Here we take this window. He swings early, so I decided to run over to this, keeping my camera back to see information on him. And I feel like I have time to make this window, so I vault it. And I don't. He actually hits me. I have no idea how, but that's okay. Alright, so now we're in a closed off loop. So here we're going to try and put our camera in places where we want to make sure the killer cannot surprise us. So now we've looked back and saw his red stains coming from there. We know he has to commit behind. We don't want to use the pallet, so we just keep kind of running through it, and we pat towards the window. We notice a little bit of his hand go through that window, so I knew he vaulted it. You see how I look back just to check like these red stains and see if he's coming there or not. And he actually surprised me with a really good mind game there. He faked acting like he was coming on the inside and actually manipulated the knowledge that he had of where my camera should be in that chase and when I might react to his red stain moving. And he was able to actually cut me off at that pallet. So even as killer, this camera knowledge is important to recognize. If you watch carefully in this chase, after I spot he goes around to the left, I'll look down to the left here, see if he shows up. I don't see him for a while, so I look to the side a bit more. At about the time I expected him to show up, and there he is coming around the corner, so I was able to start running. Now that I made it to the window doing that knowledge, I wait, I see him vault again, so I path around. You see his red stain to make sure he's falling behind me after he vaulted. And I'm able to do this mind game a couple times. I'm just gonna win that at the window. So now that I've done that twice, I mixed it up. I recognize he cloaked, so I kind of watched out for him. Earlier in the chase, he mind gave me at that pallet and got a hit, so I decided to do something a little different. And here he does end up getting me though, because I thought he would think I'd vault. But yeah, that was just a lost mind game. And that hit also worked. Look at that hit. Colossal hit. So let's establish when to look back, or when to look in a certain direction, and when to look forward. When you want to know what the killer's doing and where he might come from, you want to keep your camera in a place where he cannot surprise you. So notice while I loop this, I kind of keep the center of my screen at like the tree trunk. That's because I can see on both left and right sides of this tree trunk while I'm chasing him, and that allows him to not come out, it disallows him to be able to surprise me. And now that I watched him kick that pallet, I know that I have plenty of time to go to this side of the map and take this window. But I kind of decided I wanted to go to the jungle gym, and I watched him cut me off a little bit, so I know I need to get there in time. Notice how I'm looking ahead of me every now and then so I don't bump into any of these props. And I'm looking back. A good tip you can always do is after you vault the window, just look back. You can never mess up your movement while you're in the vault animation. So it's like a free time to turn your camera around if you want to ever use that. Just if you're kind of learning to control your camera naturally. That is a really easy way to do it without bumping into stuff. Now that I turn back to see him vault that window, I know I have distance. Here I got a little greedy, but I stayed looking back to see if he swings through the pallet or if he tries to mind game me, so I could take that window there. And now you can notice here I go through this pallet, I see if he's there, he's still falling behind me. The reason I'm still looking back, even though I have a lot of distance, is just because I want to make sure he's not trying to cut me off in the main building. And now that I know he has to vault that window to catch up to me, I'm transferring all the way to Shack. I'm looking back because I know I'm in that long line of sight we talked about earlier, and he's Ghostface, so I want to reveal him. So now that I've revealed him, looking back, going to Shack, I kind of running around taking the Shack loop. At this pallet loop, I recognize once he passes a certain point at that pallet, I can make this window vault. So what I do is I look back, and I'm constantly keeping my eye on him at this pallet. So watch here, I keep my eye on him. I keep my eye on him. As soon as he goes to that critical point and I can take this window, I look forward because I want to make sure I path into the window perfectly. Because it's a very short loop and I don't want to mess up any of my distance. Alright, and that'll be the end of this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed and you learned something, please leave a like. Comment down below if you have any questions or other things that you're wondering about camera movement, and I'll definitely reply to them if I can. If you're interested in coaching and maybe you like the information I've given and you want some more direct one-on-one practice will be better for you, feel free to go to my Fiverr page, link will be in the description. Next episode, we're going to be doing pathing. We're going to show you how to properly path around objects and the importance of pathing and distance in the game and in chase. This will help you for both killer and survivor understand exactly what's going to benefit you in chase and how important running your perfect paths and straight lines will be. So subscribe if you want to see that. Alright, have a good one.